Welcome back again. My name is Bradford Ben from Advisors Group. I'm here at AVNation Studio here at InfoComm 2021, and I'm here with Bryce Button from AJA, which is the first question that comes out. But first, I'll introduce him. He is the Director of Product Marketing for AJA. The reason I'm making sure to pronounce AJA is 3 of us sat in the back row before this interview debating how AJA is pronounced, and your answer is?
AJA.
I've been calling it AJA for years.
You and many thousands.
Yes, so this is the important thing we've learned, hard-hitting news. So thank you for coming.
Pleasure.
I know I can butcher all the products you make, but I figure it's much better to let you explain the problem solvers you have, and I hear you've just debuted a new product.
Absolutely. So AJA has been around for almost 3 decades now. And we started with things like mini converters. We moved into desktop I/O, helped basically build Final Cut Pro with our cards in those environments. We've made frame syncs. We've made streaming tools. A lot of streaming tool work has obviously gone down the last couple of years. And today we had a nice big announcement, which I think is going to really please the market. We've come out with an NDI to 3G SDI gateway. It's called Bridge NDI 3G, and it's the densest NDI to SDI conversion product in the market as of now. So it effectively gives you 16 channels of NDI that you can convert to SDI, back from SDI to NDI, and they're available in banks of 4. So you can actually do a mixture going on at the same time. You might decide you've got a lot of NDI sources, so you're going to spend 3 of the banks bringing in 12 NDI sources, convert those to SDI, while simultaneously sending SDI to NDI. So this is going to be a very big thing for the market. NDI, if you're not familiar with it, is a very affordable video over IP protocol. It's been found a lot of use in the AV space, everything from college sports to house of worship, even in certain broadcast scenarios, live events, all sorts of things. So this is a real-time box that's going to sit at the hub. And you might have PTZ cameras that are NDI. You might have switches, all sorts of things. And you're going to be able to mix those 2 worlds. And this joins a pretty recent update that we did on our Bridge Live product a couple of weeks ago, where we introduced NDI input and output on that box as well. If you're not familiar with that particular gateway, that gateway was designed to handle SDI to streaming codec conversions and transcoding. So between different codecs, all sorts of things. So now that box gained NDI as well. So you can take your NDI workflows now and extend it across every corridor of transport that matters. So whether you're dealing with SDI or whether you're trying to take an NDI signal as part of your production chain and stream it live to a CDN, Facebook Live, any of these platforms, you can do all of that at one time. So we think that we really created a really nice hub that's going to sit at the core of these kind of workflows. You plug your PTZ cameras in, you plug in your switches, you plug in your recorders, whatever it might be, and you're going to be able to cover the gamut all in real time. So I think what's important here to understand is that NDI is a great platform. It gives you a wonderful image. You know, it's not fully uncompressed, but it's close. It looks good enough. And it's really workable under infrastructure that everyone can afford, 1 gig infrastructure generally. Your laptop can send things to it. Your iPhones can send things to it. And if you bring it in, let's say an iPhone signal, this box will actually correctly pillar box it.
Oh, nice.
So that you get it into the SDI flow, if that's where you're going off to an SDI router in that scenario. And also with the Bridge Live, we also introduced HLS. If you're not familiar with HLS, that's basically the format that Apple's using so that it can automatically adapt to the particular device that it's going to, as well as the scalings and timings that need to happen, and they'll be scaled in terms of the bandwidth compression based upon what is available in the particular environment. So to bring all these things together, we're essentially creating a wealth of pipelines at last, where people can come into them wherever they sit today, and they can get to where they're going tomorrow. So it's an incredibly exciting day for us, and we think this news is going to go down very well in the market.
Well, I think it is exciting. I'm thinking about, as I was taking notes, just the fact that, as you said, it gives you the ability to start here and move forward and give customers and users an upgrade path without the dreaded upgrade path of start over.
Yes.
Which is huge with technology, and especially with how big does an office need to be? Is it on campus? Is it off campus? And it addresses all that. And using NDI, it pretty much can now plug and play straight into your video conferencing solution of choice. So I think it's a really good solution, and definitely has some flexibility that I hadn't thought of.
Right.
So I'll be honest, I'm very familiar with AJA from using the HDMI fiber extenders by the gross,
Right.
which I'm sure you're not unhappy about, but it's nice to know it's expanded beyond just the little widget. I don't want to say it's expanded beyond the little widget problem solving, but it's becoming a full system that can handle all of that. So with that, it's 3G SDI. Is there? And it does embed all the camera control within it, it sounds like?
Yeah, you'll get some tally info, that kind of thing. Comms and that type of stuff will come a little further down the road as we mature the product. But I think the key thing here is that ability, again, to mix and match and get people through things, because you've got a combination of items going on. We had a lot of conversations with college sports, for instance, where, especially during COVID, there's been even a higher demand for viewing, because you've got parents that pay a lot of money for a kid to go to college. And the major colleges are giving equal weight to every sport, from table tennis to the football team. And the parents and family justifiably want to see them play. So the ability to bring this in and then offer this NDI, which these colleges are looking at, as a way to deal with video over IP as affordably as possible, and then mix that and match that with the real-world cameras they've got, SDI, etc. I think it's just going to grant everyone a huge amount of flexibility, and that helps on the budget side, right? Because we still live in relatively tight economic times, and so the ability to keep your current infrastructures that make sense, bring them along, and combine all of this alongside that streaming everyone has to do, which is what the Bridge Live is helping you with. I think it's just terribly exciting. The closest competitor here is likely Newtek's NC2 product, but this is giving you double the channel count at half the price per channel, and we know they're very excited for us as a well-known, established, reliable, secure partner, that this is going to be a great addition for the whole ecosystem for everyone out there. We've spent a lot of time working on stabilizing NDI signals that are sometimes, in the case of PTZ cameras, for instance, maybe a little dodgy. We're bringing a lot of stability to this whole platform, and I think it's just going to be a lot of fun going forward.
Well, I'm looking at this going, you're talking about college sports, but I'm also looking at the houses of worship that have
Absolutely.
the large campuses, as well as the remote viewers at home. So I'm looking at this going, this solves multiple problems in a small, simple solution from a company that's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, and I think it joins things we've done in the last year. For instance, we brought Dante to the Open Gear platform, which allows you to marry and embed and disembed Dante audio from SDI as well. We've had a lot of great reactions from the House of Worship market there. Again, enterprise as well, right? It's been a real fun couple of years to be working on products like this that are about the future while also dealing with the present, and especially during a time period where it's obviously being difficult to get a lot of things done. we've managed to push through, and I'm very, very proud of the engineering and product management teams in the company. They really plowed ahead, and it's been done thoughtfully. We did a fair amount of beta testing here for the Bridge NDI in particular, and I think it's really paid off. So we really look forward. If you want to learn more about these products, I recommend you just go to AJA.com today. And moving forward over the next few months as you see other items that we roll out. And we do a pretty good job of both having product pages, but we also have solution pages on our website, because often folks need or want to understand what a technology is that they might not have played with a lot themselves yet, and or what is the ecosystem and the problems that we are trying to help people maneuver themselves through. So education is a big part of things for us as a company as well. We don't like to just chuck stuff out and assume people are going to understand everything we're trying to achieve.
Oh, I go to the website quite a bit. My favorite one is the bandwidth calculator and the storage calculator that I've been using since probably 20 years ago when it only went up to 48 kilohertz of audio. So it's been a great tool and a great resource moving forward. And I'm looking forward to the way you have all these products as you're finding the pain points, and here's the solution, not the other way around of here's a solution, let's find where to put it, which is very refreshing, especially as so many people think this is the right way to do it. It sounds more like your solutions are, do it the way you want, we're going to help you cross all those bridges to bring things together.
Yes, we like to, we seriously like to listen. It's not a marketing slogan. So anytime you as an end user are working on a project, or you see problems that you would like to have addressed in some form or another, feel free to reach out to AJ. You can go to our website, you'll find all our contact info. We spend a lot of time. It's very refreshing to be here back at a show again, where we can walk the floor and actually speak to people. It's one of the best things about trade shows, quite honestly. I really heard a lot of great feedback today on a range of items that have been fascinating to hear from an end user perspective. And that's where our participation in groups like SMPTE and all sorts of things help. It's no good for us to go out and build things that are just on a whim and a wish. We tend to like to be a company that really does problem solve. And NDI has been around a while. It's not the first time we considered it. The product has a number of years of development in it. The key thing was to find what is going to be the most useful way to address a particular new technology. In this case, as you can tell, we've decided to put ourselves at the heart of it as a gateway, and then you can plug in any of the thousands of wonderful NDI tools that have now been developed over the last half decade. And we think, new tech with NDI are going to be very happy about this. It's not the only area of video over IP we're engaged in. We're still engaged in works through the AIMS organization for 2110. We've indeed sold a lot of Kona IP cards this year. So it's a lot of different legs that we tend to stand on, which has most definitely gotten us through a lot of headaches in the last year. I think our streaming products like the Hilo, the UTAP, have really proven their worth in the last year, whether that's getting into little streaming systems with HDMI, SDI inputs, or whether you're using something like a Hilo to get your church service, let's say on a Sunday, out to YouTube as simply and as successfully as you can. So it's a wonderful business to still be engaged in for sure. And I'm sure a lot of folks have enjoyed walking the floor today and actually seeing what people have to offer here.
I told the AVNation team, do not book me for Friday so I can actually see the show for a change. Not that I mind sitting here and having people come to me and tell me all about the exciting stuff, but like you said, go and see what's new and get to reconnect with people.
Yes, I think it's frankly a little refreshing after maybe too many Zoom, WebEx calls, etc. for the last 2 years.
Yes. I joke my office is now my studio because it's a Zoom studio or WebEx or Teams. Yeah.
And I can share a couple of other little bits of news if we have time. In the last couple of weeks, we've also done some interesting things that I think make a lot of sense for the AV market. For instance, we've been working with Microsoft very closely. A lot of you have probably been working with Microsoft Teams. So in combination with them, you now have the ability to have what's called broadcast video out. So let's say you got a Teams call, you're wanting to take one of those interviewees, because you can only do this with one interviewee at a time, but you at least want to get them into a stable video signal. You're trying to ensure that their bandwidth is as clean as possible, as getting as much attention to it as it can. And so to get it into the video environment, they're actually taking whoever you designate and sending it out through our I/O cards, which is going to make things a lot easier for folks, because in many ways, COVID forcing us to be remote, a lot of the scenarios are going to stay in place, I think.
Yeah.
And so you'll be able to take an interviewee, even if you're prepping a video as a source for later live production integration, and you'll be able to use a tool like Teams, and you'll be able to make them look good. So we can lock down the frame rate, we can give you the raster size you need, etc. Other tools on the production front that have been interesting, our TTAP Pro, which is a Thunderbolt 3 device, that actually puts out over SDI and HDMI, it can do up to 12-bit RGB. So in the last week, Autodesk brought out their new Flame software for this year, which has got a lot of great features, and one of the features is including support for the small little device that it's literally using Thunderbolt 3 to kick out the most incredible video imagery. So it's been an interesting year here. And I'm going to end off the tail with some news that we released a couple of weeks ago. And that's the fact that AJA has actually taken an equity stake in a software company. This is the first time AJA has invested in another company. And where we've gone is we've come out with a product called AJA Discover Media Edition. And this is very important because what we're looking at is we know that we're part of systems all over the world that generate a huge amount of media content. The issue is going to be in the next 3 years, the industry in general is producing as much media content in the next 3 years as we just did in the last 3 decades. That is a reality that's coming. The headache's going to be, how do you manage all this?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Where's your material sitting? How much is it actually costing you? You might have the drive that you bought at Best Buy, you might have a SAN, and you're more than likely getting into things like Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Buckets. Keeping track of all that.
That's half my job.
It's almost insane at this point. And the reality is most people are doing these things with little spreadsheets, or they're taking screen grabs and they're communicating with each other. They barely know on any given day where all the material is and how much it's costing. So you got people trying to produce things, they literally don't know their actual cost of production. So this software is out there, and it starts with creating a master index. If you look at any drive, you can kind of get a list of what's on that drive. But when you've got the stuff spread out, now you're going to look at 15 different things and try to figure it out. So what you do with the software is it'll run automatically in parallel. The traditional systems that have been out there look at one drive at a time, which means at any given moment you're not actually looking at the most up-to-date information. This will run in parallel and let you know across your project or your client or your facility, and projects especially are going to be spread across multiple facilities. We're sitting in a room right now with people working on stuff and it's being sent elsewhere. There's different team members. How do you track that data? And so what you can do with this data is you're getting back all of those indexes into a master index file, and then you can do stuff that really matters for the video business. Joe sitting over here was editing. He named this file Ultra HD, I think it's 2997 in terms of the frame rate. The software will actually scan that media as well and come back and say, actually, it was 60p. So you know the reality of the media. The second thing is you can assign the cost factor, which is really key.
Yes.
Because most people are working in the dark. And then you'll know that actually this project is costing me X amount to hold onto the media. So it allows you to then tag it from there, for instance. So you can go, okay, this material over here, the last time anyone touched it was 3 years ago. You know, why are we letting it sit here? We don't actually have to go buy a new set of drives. We just need to clear this stuff off or archive it to LTO tape or whatever. So we believe this is going to seriously help folks deal with the flood of media that's coming. We all know that as of today, iPhone 13, ProRes files. That's the type of thing that's just going to explode this media, and keeping and managing it and trying to figure out what makes the most sense as you move forward. It's the only way you're going to be able to bring sanity to it. So it's really exciting to come to the end of 2021, and we've been building out gateways, as we talked about. We're building out the ability to manage this stuff alongside all of the smaller, point-to-point products that we've always developed. So it's been a very exciting year, and again, just so thrilled to be sitting here with you at an actual live event where we can talk about it.
I definitely appreciate it. AJA.com.
Correct.
And that's also will have the new media acquisition you've made.
Yes.
So I thank you a lot for your time. As you can see, I'm writing notes going, I have Azure, I have AWS, I have Glacier, I've got them all. So now I'm going to go look at that and see if it'll solve my problems, which it sounds like it will. So thanks a lot for being with me. Viewers at home, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back with some more interviews here in a couple of minutes from InfoComm.